Ethan Kane had never seen a spaceship like the Renshala. It was a giant silver warship shaped like a bird, floating silently above the moon's orbit. As a young Earth cadet, he had been chosen for a rare program, a peace exchange between humans and the Valkyrians, a powerful alien race. He had trained for this. He had studied their culture, learned their language, and memorized their rules. But nothing had prepared him for life on this ship. The corridors were dim and quiet, lit by a soft blue glow. The air smelled like metal and strange herbs. The crew, tall and serious, barely spoke to him. Ethan felt like a tiny fish in a sea of warriors. His room was small but clean, a narrow bed, a metal desk, and a glowing screen on the wall. He had just started reading his mission log when the door chimed softly. "Enter," he said, thinking it was another check from security. But when the door slid open, he froze. Standing there was Commander Saraya Veltharn, the most feared and respected officer on the Renshala. She was taller than Ethan, with silver eyes, glowing blue markings on her skin, and long dark hair tied behind her neck. Her armor shimmered like starlight, but she wore a dark cloak over it now, pulled tightly around her. "Saraya?" Ethan asked, confused. She stepped inside quickly and the door closed behind her. Her eyes scanned the hallway before she turned to him. "I'm staying in your room tonight," she said calmly. "But keep it a secret, human." Ethan blinked. What?" "There is no time for questions," she said, walking to the corner of the room. "You are not in danger, not yet, but I must not be seen." Ethan's heart was pounding. "You're the commander. Why would you hide in a cadet's room?" She looked at him, her voice lower now. "There is a traitor on this ship. One of my officers is working with the enemy. I do not know who I can trust." Ethan tried to understand. "And you trust me?" She nodded once. "No one would think to look for me here. That makes you the safest option." He rubbed the back of his neck. "All right, I guess you can stay." Saraya sat cross-legged on the floor, pulling her cloak tighter. Her eyes stayed on the door, always alert. Ethan sat on the edge of his bed, still unsure what just happened. A few hours ago, he was just another cadet in training. Now the most powerful alien commander on the ship was hiding in his room. And somehow, she had just made him part of something much bigger. Ethan barely slept that night. Commander Saraya sat quietly in the corner of his room, her eyes never closing. She did not speak much, only whispering now and then to check if he heard any strange sounds. Ethan listened carefully, but the hallway, outside, remained quiet. The next morning, the commander stood and brushed down her cloak. "I must leave before the crew wakes," she said, "but I will return tonight." Ethan nodded slowly. "Still hiding?" "Yes, until I find proof. I believe our systems are being watched." She paused. "You must tell no one, not even the ship's AI." Ethan watched her disappear down the hallway before the others woke up. As the ship moved through deep space, he tried to act normal. He followed the usual cadet schedule: combat practice, language drills, and tech maintenance. But his thoughts kept drifting back to Saraya's words. A traitor on the ship? Who would be brave enough or foolish enough to betray a Valkyrian warship? That evening, after lights dimmed and most of the crew returned to their quarters, Saraya returned. She looked more tired now, her shoulders tense. "I found something," she said as she entered, "but I need your help." Ethan's eyes widened. "Me? Why me?" "You're not part of the regular crew. You have access to systems they might ignore. Low-level files, background data, places where secrets can hide." She pulled out a small data chip and handed it to him. "This contains part of the ship's movement logs. Look for patterns, anything that doesn't belong." Ethan sat at his desk and plugged the chip into the console. Lines of data filled the screen. At first, it looked normal: standard jumps, energy use, ship messages. But after half an hour of searching, he noticed something strange. "Here," he pointed. "The navigation logs say the ship turned slightly at 400 hours last week. Just a small shift in direction. but the course record never logged it. Soraya leaned over his shoulder, her eyes scanning the screen. That shift wasn't part of our patrol route. Ethan frowned. Could it have been an error? No, she said firmly. The Renshala doesn't make errors. Someone altered the logs. Ethan sat back, a chill running down his spine. Why would someone change the ship's direction and hide it? Soraya's voice lowered. Because they didn't want us to know where we really were. Someone used that moment to send a signal. A signal to who? She looked at him, her expression serious. To the Nexari. Ethan had only read about the Nexari in training, a dangerous alien species that used technology and mind tricks to take over ships and stations. If they were involved, it meant one thing. This mission was no longer just about peace. For the next 2 days, Ethan and Soraya worked in secret. Every night, she returned quietly to his room. They studied ship logs, watched hallway cameras, and checked hidden data files. The deeper they looked, the more strange things they found. Ethan had never felt more nervous in his life, but also never more alive. This wasn't training anymore. This was real. One night, while the others slept and Soraya stood watch near the door, Ethan found something strange on the ship's internal AI system. There's a repeating pattern, he said, frowning at the screen. It's small, hidden deep in the background code, but it keeps showing up. Soraya stepped closer. Show me. He pointed. Every 6 hours this line appears, 0x3BG13. It doesn't belong to any command I've seen before. Soraya's eyes narrowed. It's a ghost code. A what? A fake signal. It hides inside real code. It fools the system into thinking it's normal. She paused. The Nexari use this trick to stay invisible. Ethan stared at the screen. So this means a Nexari is already inside the ship? Yes, Soraya said, her voice calm but cold. One of our crew has been replaced. Ethan swallowed hard. Replaced? You mean shapeshifted? Not exactly, she said. The Nexari don't change their shape. They grow copies, bio-doubles. They study a target, then create a nearly perfect version. Same voice, same memories. But one difference. They serve the Nexari. Ethan leaned back, feeling a chill. So we could be talking to one every day and never know. Correct, she said. That's why I trust only you. You were scanned when you arrived. Too recent to be copied. Too unexpected. Ethan tried to stay calm. Then we have to find out who it is. Soraya nodded. We will. But we must be careful. If the Nexari finds out we're watching, it may attack or call others. They both fell silent, the air heavy with tension. Then Ethan had an idea. Wait, what if we use the ship's food delivery system? Every crew member uses, maybe the fake one eats differently? Soraya's eyes lit up. That's a good plan. They searched the food records. After hours of searching, Ethan found one officer who stood out. Commander Relix, the second in command. He had ordered the same meal every day, except once. On that day, he asked for a food only humans eat, peanut paste. But Valkyrians can't digest peanuts, Ethan said, confused. Soraya looked at the record. The real Relix knows that, but a copy might not. Ethan looked at her. So he might be the one? Soraya's voice turned cold. It's possible, and if he is, then the Nexari are already closer to Earth than we thought. Ethan couldn't stop thinking about Commander Relix. He seemed normal. He gave orders, spoke clearly, even joked with the crew sometimes. But now, every small smile or short nod felt fake. If the Nexari had copied him, then he wasn't just pretending. He was planning something dangerous. That night, Soraya returned, her face more serious than ever. I watched Relix today, she said. He walked past a locked control panel, and it opened for him without any scan. That door needs handprint and eye check. Only the captain and I should have access. Ethan's eyes widened. So he hacked the door? Soraya nodded. Or the system thinks he's someone else. That meant one thing. The Nexari copy was almost perfect. Ethan pulled up the ship's map on his screen. "What's in that room?" Sireya pointed. "Emergency navigation control. If Relix takes control of that room, he could reroute the whole ship. We'd never even know." Ethan felt a chill. "Where would he take us?" Sireya looked him in the eye. "Earth." Ethan's heart pounded. "You think the Nexari want to reach Earth?" "Yes," she said. "They hide by copying others. But their goal has never changed. They want control. And if they take Earth, many more will fall after." Ethan leaned forward. "Then we have to stop him. Can't we just warn the captain?" Sireya's expression darkened. "I did once, a few weeks ago. I told him my fears. The next day, one of my closest guards vanished. No trace. I don't think I can trust him now." Ethan paused. "What if the captain is one of them?" She didn't answer, but the silence said everything. Suddenly, the screen blinked. A red light flashed, a security warning. Sireya rushed to it and opened the message. "A signal has been sent," she said quickly. "From inside the ship. A short burst. Direction, toward the edge of our galaxy." Ethan read the words. "Could it be the Nexari?" "Yes," Sireya said, already packing her cloak. "They're calling for help, or sending orders. We have to stop them." Sireya turned to him. "We can't do it alone, but I have one plan. It's risky." Ethan stood. "What is it?" "We expose them. Not in secret. In front of the whole crew." Ethan blinked. "But how?" She gave a small smile. "We give them a reason to reveal themselves. We push them into action, where everyone can see." Ethan nodded slowly. "So we make the enemy panic." "Exactly," she said. "And when they move, we catch them." They didn't know what would happen next, or who they could really trust. But one thing was clear: the battle wasn't far away. It was already here, hidden in plain sight. The next day, the ship was quiet. Too quiet. Ethan walked through the halls trying to look normal, but inside his heart was racing. The plan had started. He and Sireya had planted a fake message in the ship's network, a warning that the Nexari spy would be exposed at the next crew meeting. It was a trap, meant to make the real spy act. Sireya stayed hidden, watching everything through the small cameras she had placed earlier. Ethan had one job: observe. Report anything strange. And stay alive. That evening, all senior crew gathered in the main command hall. Large silver walls surrounded the room. A glowing map of the galaxy floated in the air. Captain Erxal stood in the center, tall and calm. "Why was this emergency meeting called?" the captain asked, voice firm. No one answered. Ethan watched, as Commander Relix entered the room last. He looked normal, but his eyes were too sharp, his walk too smooth. Sireya was right. Something about him felt wrong. Ethan moved closer to the wall and tapped a small button hidden near his sleeve. It sent a signal to Sireya. "He's here." Suddenly, the room lights flickered. A voice echoed from above. It was Sireya, speaking through the ship's speaker system. "This ship has been infiltrated," she said clearly. "A Nexari spy hides among you, but the truth will no longer stay silent." The crew looked around in shock. Captain Erzal's face darkened. "Who is speaking?" he demanded. Then, Commander Relix stepped forward. "She's lying," he said loudly. "Commander Sireya has broken ship law. She should be arrested." But something was off. His voice, just for a second, sounded doubled. Like two voices at once. Ethan's eyes widened. He looked at the captain, expecting anger or confusion. But Captain Erxal didn't move. He just stared. Then he spoke in a quiet voice, but one that made the room freeze. "I knew you'd come, Sireya." Ethan gasped. "No, not the captain. Two." Relix turned slowly toward Erzal. "We agreed to wait. She wasn't supposed to find out," the captain replied. "She found out because you were careless." Gasps filled the room. The crew stepped back. Something was wrong. Very wrong. Sireya entered the room, calm and ready. Her armor shimmered under the lights. "The Nexari copy can only fool minds for so long," she said. "But now you've shown yourselves." Relix's skin rippled. His face shifted just for a second. His eyes turned black, then returned to normal. The truth was out. Ethan stood frozen. He had never seen anything like it. Two of the highest officers, no longer who they once were. The room exploded into noise. Officers grabbed weapons. Alarms blared. Orders shouted. But through the chaos, Soraya looked at Ethan and said clearly, "Stay with me, human. Trust me." And Ethan, heart pounding, nodded. Because, in that moment he knew. The real war had just begun. The command hall turned into chaos. Officers shouted. Guards ran in with energy weapons. Lights flashed red. Sirens screamed. But none of that mattered now, because the truth was out. Commander Relix and Captain Ergzal were not who they seemed. The Nexari copies stood in the center of the room, faces calm, eyes dark. Their skin rippled like waves and their voices no longer sounded human or Valkyrian. "We gave you a chance to join us," said the Relix copy. "Now you leave us no choice." Soraya stepped in front of Ethan, sword in hand. It wasn't like a normal blade. It shimmered with pure energy, glowing blue. "Stay behind me," she said. Ethan nodded quickly. He had no weapon, no armor, just his training and his brain. But even that felt small compared to the danger now before him. The Nexari copies moved fast, too fast. One guard was thrown across the room before he even fired. The other was disarmed in seconds. The captain copy aimed for the ship's control panel. "They're going for the nav core," Ethan shouted. "They'll hijack the ship." Soraya jumped into action. Her sword clashed with Relix's arm, sparks flying. They moved like lightning, spinning, blocking, attacking. Ethan had never seen her fight before. She wasn't just a commander. She was a warrior. But even she couldn't fight two Nexari alone. Ethan scanned the room. The backup controls were on the far wall. If he could reach them, he could lock the navigation panel and stop the hijack. He ran. Dodging overturned chairs and blinking consoles, Ethan reached the wall. His fingers flew across the buttons. Error. Command locked. "No, no," he whispered. "Come on." He remembered the code Soraya gave him earlier, a backdoor access code. He entered it quickly. Access granted. With one push, he locked the navigation system and shut down remote control. At the same moment, Soraya knocked Relix to the floor, slicing through part of his false armor. Underneath was a strange, dark material, almost liquid. The captain copy saw what Ethan did. It screamed, not a voice, but a sharp, high sound that made the lights flicker. Then, both Nexari copies vanished in a flash of smoke. Gone. Silence filled the room. Some officers were hurt, others shocked. The crew finally saw the truth. Soraya lowered her sword. "They escaped," she said softly. "But now, they know we're ready." Ethan stood beside her, breathing hard. "What do we do now?" Soraya looked at the crew. "Now we prepare. They'll come back. Not just as copies, but with warships." One of the officers stepped forward. "Commander Soraya, what are your orders?" Soraya turned to Ethan, then back to the crew. "We defend this ship, and we protect Earth. Together." Ethan felt something strong rise inside him. Hope. For the first time, he wasn't just a cadet. He was part of something bigger. Days passed. The ship, Renshala, moved slower now. Repairs were in progress. The crew worked together, fixing broken systems, replacing damaged walls, and checking every corner of the ship. Everyone was alert. The Nexari had escaped, but not without showing their true faces. Soraya was now acting captain. Most of the crew trusted her. She had proven her strength, her leadership, and her heart. Even those who once doubted her now followed her orders without question. Ethan stood beside her on the ship's bridge. He wasn't just a cadet anymore. He had been promoted to tactical support officer, a rare position for someone his age. "I still can't believe it," he said, looking at the stars outside the window. You trusted me, even when I didn't trust myself. Siraya smiled slightly. You had courage, and you didn't run away even when things got dark. That's what matters. Ethan looked at her, then at the stars again. Do you think the Nexari will return? Siraya nodded. Yes. They always come back. They are patient. They wait in the shadows. But next time we'll be ready. A soft alarm beeped. One of the officers turned to them. Commander, we're approaching Earth orbit. Siraya gave a small sigh. We're home. For now. The crew prepared the landing report. As the ship slowed near Earth, messages from the human defense network arrived. Earth had been warned. The truth about the Nexari was finally shared with the leaders of both humans and Valkyrians. Peace between the two species had never been stronger. Later that evening, back in his room, Ethan sat at his desk. He stared at the stars outside and thought about everything, about secrets, fear, war, and friendship. Just then the door opened. Siraya stood there, in her soft gray cloak. I'm staying here tonight, she said calmly, just for rest. No danger this time. Ethan blinked. Still keeping it a secret? Siraya gave a small laugh. Only if you want. He nodded. All right, but no scary missions tonight, okay? She walked over to the corner and sat down, folding her arms. No missions. Just silence. They sat like that for a while. The hum of the ship. The soft blink of stars. No war. No alarms. Just calm. Then Ethan broke the silence. Do you think I can really do this? Help protect Earth? Help stop the Nexari? Siraya looked at him with her sharp blue eyes. You already did, she said. And next time, we fight together, side by side. Ethan smiled. Maybe the future was still full of danger. Maybe the Nexari would return stronger. But for now, they had peace. And more importantly, they had each other. And sometimes that was the strongest weapon of all.